The Pink Pulpits Podcast, the gospel according to her. The Pink Pulpits Podcast explores the living, learning, and leading of women in the 21st century. How does the modern woman handle the world the gospel way? This podcast is for women in ministry, women surrounded by ministry, and so many more. Join us weekly on Saturdays at 6 p.m. for the Pink Pulpits Podcast, the gospel according to
Hey, faith friends, and hey, all of my sisters. Welcome to another episode of the Pink Pulpit Podcast. And whether the gospel gets you in a space, I want you to know this platform, the gospel gets real, gets raw, and gets relevant. And especially for women like you and me, we are bold enough to believe that your life, whether you're in the marketplace or ministry or mentoring or motherhood, or just dealing with the matters of things of God, this is the place for you to have a conversation. I'm your host, the Faith Chick, and baby, we're not just surviving out in these streets. We're faithing our way forward. And I'm really excited about what we're going to talk about today, because last week, can we just say, whew, we unpacked how to handle difficult change. That was episode 68, and we talked about grow. And I got hit up. I got texts. People was like, you're telling me to grow? I don't want to, but I'm going to do it anyway. Today, we're going to go a little deeper in it. I know. Just say, and then breathe. The kind of stuff that catches us off guard, flips our plans upside down, and makes you want to ask God, really? This week is the week where we're getting ready, because we've already talked about how to handle change, right? But I want to talk about the part that a lot of people don't talk about, and what's the purpose of change anyway? Why do we have to go through it? Why can't life just stay saved, stay cute? You know, my hairline, keep it cute. Why can't we just stay comfortable? Why does God seem to require so much movement when we rather just stay still? Because can we be honest? We don't like it. We don't ask for it. And sometimes we even fight against it. Can I just talk to us today? What if the change that's making you uncomfortable is the very thing that God is using to unlock your next level? I know, just rest there for a minute. You're wanting the next level. You've been asking, you've been praying, you got a prophetic word for it. And what if being uncomfortable right now is that? What if that shift that scares you is what God's using to strengthen you? Here's what I came to say today. Change isn't punishment, it's preparation. And in the kingdom, change is the currency of progress. Change is necessary. Change is strategic. Change is spiritual. And God doesn't waste any of it. Okay. And he never does, ever. Ecclesiastes 3:1 sets the tone. To everything there is a season, a time to every purpose under the heaven. And what that means, very clear, your change has a time stamp and a purpose behind it. Can we unpack the why today and get back in position to embrace the shift by faith, to embrace the change by faith, to embrace the grow by faith? Here's the truth. Change is positioning. And when you start to see it by faith, you'll realize change doesn't just happen to you, it happens for you. Let's go all in. Okay. I want you to know that the pressure of the change is the proof of purpose. Let's just start with this. Change is never comfortable. Never. But comfort is never the goal. The calling is. Romans 8:28 says, and we know that all things work together for the good of them that love the Lord and who are called according to his purpose. That includes the hard. That includes the uncomfortable, the unfamiliar, the shift, the stretch. And sometimes we confuse pressure with punishment because pressure is often the proof that you're on the brink. You're at the foot, you're at the edge of purpose. And let's just talk about Joseph. Anybody know about Joseph? His brothers betrayed him. He's thrown in a pit, falsely accused, in prison, forgotten about. And all of it was setting him up for a palace level purpose. From the pit to the palace, from prison to the palace. And change pressured him, but it didn't destroy him. Who is this podcast for? You feel like the very nature of this change is destroying you. It's preparing you, just like it prepared Joseph. When pressure hits, you got to pause and ask yourself this question. What is God trying to form in me right now? What is God trying to strengthen in me right now? What is God trying to stretch in me right now? And recognize this is not punishment. This really is an opportunity for me to get entrance into my next level, right? And then I believe, now hear this, that growth is God's goal. The goal he sets out with this whole place of us being uncomfortable and change is he's trying to grow us. That's the reason why I told you last week, grow, 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 grow. Change forces growth. And you cannot become who you're called to be without it and while holding on to who you used to be. Hebrews 12:11 says, no discipline seems pleasant at the time. None, but painful. And later on, however, it produces a harvest of righteousness. Change disciplines us. It grows our faith, our capacity, our maturity. And can we look at Ruth? She had to leave her homeland. I don't know how much you know about this girl named Ruth. I just taught about it yesterday or the other day in one of my faith coaching classes. And what I need you guys to know that here it is. And actually, I taught on her in a Sunday at our y'all go check it out on our YouTube page, Emance's YouTube page called You Are Everything. So y'all know Sexy Red got a song out called We Go Together, we go together. You gotta check it out. It's a really good message. But when we're talking about this woman named Ruth, that's who I talked about, her making this commitment. She had to leave her homeland, her comfort, her people, and that changed position for her, changed her future that she never saw coming. She never pictured herself remarried. She never pictured herself being able to be wealthy. She never pictured herself being able to be in Jesus's lineage. But she grew into grace. There's a grace that comes on your life when you allow uncomfortable, when you allow the stretching, when you allow the change to do what the change wants to do. You got to start tracking your growth through change. Recognizing I really am different. I really am stronger. I really am wiser. And then can you journal your learning, what you're learning about yourself, what you're learning about God, what you're learning that you're capable of doing, and now what the capability positioned you for. That the whole goal of this is God is trying to grow you. And then, this thing about change, faith requires forward motion. And you all know this is a faith platform, right? The Faith Chicks platform of the Pink Pulpit. Change and faith go hand in hand. And if you're not changing, you're probably not fully walking by faith. Can I say that again? If you're not changing, you ain't using your faith. 2 Corinthians 5:7 says, for we walk by faith and not by sight. Key word is walk. Walk. That means motion. That means you got to get up. You got to go forward. Change is faith's evidence that you're moving towards the promise. Abraham left everything familiar just by what God said. When God said go, he had no GPS. He had no roadmap. All he had was a word. And that word was enough to tell him to get from among those people and move to place of promise. If everything in your life feels the same, ask yourself, have I moved on God's last instruction? Oh, this will mess you up. I know some of y'all saying, you already know the answer. You ain't got to ask God. You already know the answer is no. So get in motion. Get in motion so that you can grow. Because change creates kingdom clarity. Sometimes change isn't even about you. It's about what's coming through you. It's what's going to be affected because of you. God uses change to reveal his kingdom plan and realign your priorities. Let's talk about Esther. She had to embrace change from orphan to a queen. Think about that. In order for her to step into divine purpose, she had to recognize, I'm no longer an orphan. Now I've been elevated. And your change is trying to elevate you. Who knows? Esther 4:14, it says, who knows whether you have come to the kingdom for such a time as this? And you got to recognize the time is now. And yes, it's for such a time as this moment. She didn't like the change. You don't like the change. But she understood it had kingdom consequences. You saying no has kingdom consequences. You staying stuck has kingdom consequences. You staying stagnant has kingdom consequences. And your change is not random. It's kingdom. Your transition has a target. And you got to declare this. This change is not the end of me. It's the launch of God's glory through me. Stop acting like it's the end of the world, because God is trying to change some things in your life, or calling you to change, to stop being that and be something different. Stop being stuck in not producing and not following through, all of those different things, and recognize in this moment, man, God is calling me to change, and I need to move with it instead of fighting against it. Can we just run this back for a little bit? Pressure proves purpose. You have to understand, the pressure is God saying purpose is at hand. It's there at the for the taking, for the obedience, for your yes, for your desire to align with God's perfect will. Yes, pressure proves it. It's like, have you ever heard about the coal? And coal under pressure produces a diamond. Some of the stuff on the outside may be black and you think it's glorious. And God said, no, on the inside, just a little more pressure is going to produce something that's going to sparkle, something that's going to last forever. And then you got to recognize, I tell you at the top of this podcast, that growth is God's goal. He's trying to grow you up. Stop being immature. Stop being that immature girl, that immature woman that been kicking and screaming all of her life and just will not line up and just will not focus and just will not be who God's called you to be. At what point in time do you say, I'm going to grow up? I'm going to put my big girl pants on and I'm going to be a big girl. I'm going to be a woman. I'm going to fully walk in my growndom. I'm going to look that word up and spell it for me in the chat. It's time for you to be grown. It's time for you to be a big girl. You remember when you were growing up and there were these monumental moments where, you might have been, not able to do this or do that. And then you got to a place where you could put something up on your own. And your mom said, that is such a good big girl. You are such a big girl. And you know how excited we got about that? We're like, yeah, I'm a big girl. Now we don't want to be a big girl. We're like, I don't want to be a big girl. No, it's time. I'm going to put in the chat, I'm going to be a big girl. I'm going to be a grown up. I'm going to be a grown woman. There's a comedian that he said, I'm a grown man, right? And what I want you to now get a t-shirt that says, I'm a grown woman. And I'm getting ready to grow, grow, grow. Because faith is demanding it from me. Faith is demanding that I move how forward. Stop trying to go back to being immature. Stop trying to go back and go forward. Because that change is trying to clarify the kingdom agenda for your life, trying to clarify what God has been trying to say to you all this time. And listen, I know change is uncomfortable. I know change does not seem fun. I know change is like uncomfortable. I can't say it no more than that. Change sometimes hurts. But if you're listening to this, I believe you have got the grit. I believe you've got the grace. I believe you got the God confidence to push through. Because, girl, if God is allowing the shift, it means there's a new scene in your story coming. I know you had it all planned out. This is what the story is going to be. New scene. I don't know if you may know, when I was in a couple of movies, right? And we were in the room and we were all sitting reading our lines, and it's called the reading table, right? And writers were in another room writing, and they came in and they brought some new lines. Now, I was praying there wasn't no lines for me. That's what a lot of us are doing. Praying there are no new lines. There are no new lines. I got to remember there are no new lines I got to come up with. And man, when when one of the writers walked past me and went to the person next to me, I said, whoo. And that's what a lot of us are doing. I don't want the new scene. I don't want the new scene. But God is saying the new scene is far greater than the story that you've been writing, the story that you thought was going to be. And what we're saying is that's what the shift is meaning. There's a new scene in your story, and you get to decide whether you're going to grow into it or if you're going to rebel against it. And trust me, it's good. Because remember, his plans are good and not of evil, to give us hope and a future. So just say, this new scene is good. You may even have Idris in the scene. Idris, I think he's married now, so normally he's me. But y'all understand my point. That tall, dark, and handsome, or that, my dude, he yellow, tall, and handsome, right? There's a new in your scene, and it's good. It's a new job. It's a promotion. It's reconciliation. It's restoration. It's the better, new. It's time. And go ahead, get the new script and get ready to read the lines and grow. Before you go, I want to really seal this with faith with you. I want you to say some things out loud with me, because I really do feel like as we get ready to this last fourth quarter, to end this year bigger than we started it, and get ready for 2026, that I believe is going to be a year full of favor. Thank you, God. Y'all ready? You ready to say this with me? Say, Lord, I trust the change. I trust your change. For me, I release fear. I release fear. And I grab hold of my faith. Grow me, stretch me, use me, because I know this change is for my good and for your glory. In Jesus' name, amen. I know. Just for the next 10 seconds, just sit right there in it. And even pull on your pants a little bit. Say, okay, big girl, you a big girl now. What's that? I'm a big kid now. I want you to say, I'm a big girl now. I ain't got to ride no tricycle no more. The girl getting ready to vroom, vroom, vroom. She gonna get on a ninja and she gonna roll this thing out. I'm a big girl now. This has been the Pink Pulpit Podcast. And my prayer is now you understand the reason why God's calling you to grow. And I talked about that wedding, right? Man, I can see it. I can see what God's trying to do. There's this new season I'm in, and there's some things that cannot go into this new season. And this Pink Pulpit Podcast is trying to get all of us to be big girls, to be grown women, to move fiercer, fearless, ferocious, and faith-filled in this season. This is the Pink Pulpit Podcast. The gospel, according to Big Her, it is for women by women who want real life change. It's about change, everybody. Whether it's uncomfortable, whether you don't want to. And it's for every pulpit of your life. Until next time, stay faith-filled, stay bold, stay ready, continue to grow. And remember, life is a gift. I'll see you next time. Make the best of yours.